Greetings and salutations, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well tonight, and welcome back to tonight's second half. Before we get into tonight's upload, a couple links. As you know, I rely on Patreon, PayPal, and my merch to help the channel to continue to grow and go. The links to Patreon and PayPal are in the description below. My merch is displayed directly under the video. Also, Dogman Frightening Encounters, Volume 1, 2, and 3, the audiobook versions. They were written and researched by Tom Lyons, narrated and produced by me, Jeffrey Nadolny. Those audiobooks are available on Audible, Amazon, and iTunes, the links to which are also in the description as well. And finally, last but definitely not least, if you'd really like to help support this channel to continue to grow and go, simply subscribe, click the like button, and please leave a comment. It really does help, and it matters. And now, everyone, I have taken far too much of your time. Let's get on with tonight's second half. Shall we? Tonight's second half is a subscriber interview that absolutely blew my mind. And this subscriber reached out. He wanted to come on and share his encounter with us. So tonight I have GW. GW, how are you?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you guys doing tonight?
I'm doing great, and I really appreciate you taking time out of your day to just come on the show. I mean, we've actually chatted for about an hour before this, and we've talked about everything and anything. So it's pretty awesome. This guy's a pretty great guy. So I'm just gonna give the floor to you. That way you can share your experiences with us. And if I feel like there's a question, I may interrupt you, but chances are I won't, because you're on point on this one.
Hey, man, I want you to feel free. I don't want you to feel like that that I have to, carry on. I mean, we've been having a good conversation this whole time, so, I can probably talk my ass off. But if there's anything at all that you want to slip in with, man, you go right ahead and you do that. But all right. Other than that, man, you just let me know, and I'll take it from here then.
It's all you, brother.
All right, what's up, guys? Dogman family. Just want to say, Jeff, man, thank you so much, man, at least for giving me a platform to share this experience, because Jeff had recently read this experience. I had only written it almost like 10 days ago. This experience happened in August, and so this experience here is all just really brand new to me. But so I will tell you the way that I kind of wrote it on Reddit. So when I was 14 years old, me and a buddy of mine, and a bunch of more friends, but we used to all hang out with, but mainly me and my buddy Ronnie, used to hang out and kind of just roam around the woods and just do the kind of stuff that boys do, especially here in Tennessee, country boys. I was born in '86, so around the time that we were running through the woods, like, this was before cell phones and before the big technology wave. So, like, we were still going out and, finding stuff that we could get into. And roaming was one of them, and exploring and roaming the neighborhoods and the woods. And quite honestly, we had done it so much that we go out in the woods so much because we knew it like the back of our hands. Felt very comfortable with it. Did hunting, did a lot of squirrel hunting, deer hunting back there. And Ronnie's grandmother owned some of the land that was even back there. And so we were always on it. And there was an instant where Ronnie and I were in the back in the woods. And we were walking, and he started trying to tell me this story about these demon deer. And I know we all hear the stories of skinwalkers and wendigos, that might kind of fall into line with the demon deer. But honestly, I figured with us being our age, he was just trying to scare me. Being out in the woods, we were deep in the woods. He was always the one. He was 3 years older than me. You know how it is with boys. They're always messing with each other and giving each other a hard time. Well, after he had said that, we noticed that everything around us had went silent. and that's very unusual here in Tennessee, especially during the period of time that we were in the woods, because this was around spring or summertime. So you have a lot of crickets, you have a lot of grasshoppers, you have a lot of small chirping, squirrels barking, birds tweeting. There's a lot of things going on. And being out in the woods, you learn to listen for these things. And when they all shut off, you know it immediately. And with that being said, I honestly immediately thought that there was a big predator around. I mean, we both did. Being hunters, I mean, that's what we were taught. When everything goes silent, there is something pretty big and bad around. So we listened, and we didn't really hear anything until we started hearing what sounded like something jumping through the trees. And I wrote this in my Reddit description. I said that it sounded like because you could hear this thing swinging or jumping, launching itself from one tree to another. And the was when this thing landed and either crushed the branches that were right under it at the top of this tree and launched itself to the next one. Well, we saw the trees swaying, and there was no wind. We couldn't see what this thing was. And in my encounter on Reddit, I wrote that it sounded to me like it was a wood gorilla. I had nothing else that I could relate it to. If anything, the most I might have thought it could have, I literally thought maybe it was a Sasquatch even. I didn't know. I mean, the only thing that we really deal with around here are whitetail bucks. We had instances when we were younger where they had rumors of a black panther, and we went out in the woods. We actually heard something screaming that sounded like a black panther. Even after we heard it, the mind was trying to write it off, like, oh, it's just, something explainable, like a bobcat. So we, being young and trying to be rational, we just broke it down and chopped it up to that and just went on with it. Well, after this thing started jumping through the trees, we were hearing the branches break. We weren't going to stick around there for this thing to get close to us, to get above our heads, so we took off. And we ran down the logging trail, and the logging trail literally, after about maybe a quarter of a mile, comes right out onto the road. And then maybe just slightly diagonal to where the logging trail comes out is where Ronnie's dad's driveway is. So we literally ran off the logging trail onto the road and then down Lonnie's dad's driveway and into his house. And we didn't know what it was. I literally even kind of thought that maybe Lonnie was trying to pull some gag on me with the stuff that he was saying about the demon deer, especially how it had just happened right after he had been talking about it. So from that point, we never spoke about it again. Now, that was when I was 14 years old. I'm not sure what the year was, what that would have been, maybe 2000 or 1999. Well, anyways, fast forward, let's say 20 years to this year I'm 34. And recently, earlier this year in 2020, after the COVID outbreak, my mom started having trouble swallowing. She had gone to the doctor, and they told her that she had pneumonia. And so she literally thought that she was having trouble swallowing, that it was something to do with pneumonia. She even got tested for COVID. They thought that maybe she might have had that because, COVID was supposed to be messing with your breathing and your lungs, and if she had pneumonia on top of that, then it probably would have been important for her to know. So she got the test, and it was negative, and so we ended up finding out that the lump she couldn't swallow, she had a lump, and it was cancer. Well, that was July 26th of 2020, and the doctor told us that she had, and he literally said weeks, days, hours. Just didn't know. And she lasted from July 26, 2020 to August 11, 2020. So the second encounter that I had was on August 14th, which would have only been 3 days from my mother passing. Now, you have to keep in mind here that I'm sure that, you guys have lost loved ones. I'm sure that, some of you have lost really close, maybe your children, maybe your parents, aunt, uncle, sister, brother. So you know the feeling when you lose someone really close. And you kind of start thinking about your own mortality. You might not even care about your own mortality because you're stricken with grief. With what you've been dealing with recently, especially, someone close to you like your mother has died. So you have to think about that, about this encounter happened 3 days after my mother passed. So I'm sitting out back at the house my mother lived in, and I was burning the wood and, just being by myself because I was just dealing with the grief of her loss. And that's when I hear the snap, something moving in the woods. Now, the woods from the fire pit was only 15 to, at the maximum, 20 foot. And it wasn't even fully dark outside. It was dim. I would say, like, dusk, but it wasn't fully dark. And I'd even been burning the fire earlier when it was still sunlight out because, like I said in my story that the pecan wood is really hard to burn. So you, have to get your kindling going, and then you gotta put this wood on it because we got it for free, so I'm just burning it, whatever. So I'm just sitting back there chilling, and I hear this just right in the tree line. And so it's only about 20 feet away, and I snap my head up and I look over, and I just can't believe what I'm seeing. Like I said, I was smoking a bowl of pot, and I know I even said in the story, you might think that I might have hallucinated it. I've never seen anything that was 8 foot tall walking wolf. Never. I've seen, maybe little transparent things or little a little bit of waving. I've never seen an 8 foot walking wolf. And so with my mind state, my mother had just died. This walking wolf is standing there. Now I'm thinking, what the hell are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You gonna eat me? Or that's what you're gonna do? You're gonna tear me up? And immediately, it wasn't telepathic, but as I was looking at this creature, I could sense it was telling me, why are you acting like the animal? Why are you acting like an animal? Why are you acting like the Neanderthal? Or where is this energy coming from? And I immediately thought to myself, oh my Lord, I'm the one. I'm the one here. I'm the one with the issue. But as I'm looking at this thing and I'm feeling this connection, I realized that I'm actually seeing this fucking thing. This is an 8 foot tall wolf with these glowing blue, as what I said in my story, like fluorescent blue eyes. Now, when I saw his eyes, I didn't take my eyes off of its eyes. They were the most beautiful eyes I'd ever seen. And as I looked right down next to his eyes, right on the side of his face, this thing had 3 braids hanging in a strand. And it had a turquoise thread through each braid. And it kind of reminded me of like a Native American style braid with the way that they laced the turquoise and used the turquoise in their jewelry and in their braids and in their culture. And immediately I realized with the connection that I made with this thing and the feeling that I was the one that was acting like the animal with the hostility, that this thing meant me no harm. This thing knew something that I didn't know. This thing, when I looked at it, I hear stories, Jeff, all the time about these things being nasty, smelling like death.
Right.
This thing looked well kept. I don't know if another maybe werewolf these two were keeping each other maintained, or even if this werewolf was doing it by himself, but his hair was well kept. This thing looked intelligent. It looked tamed. It looked, I even said in my story, that it looked enlightened. And when I looked in those fluorescent blue eyes, it looked like that he knew something that I didn't. It looked like that he knew something, a secret of some ancient, peaceful, some kind of knowledge that maybe even I needed, that I would have benefited from. So as I see it, I'm actually registering what I'm seeing, and I've blinked my eyes, and I'm trying to make out more detail on this creature. And at that moment, it takes off. Now, it felt like to me, because the moment that I started thinking about the fact that I needed to notice something on it is when it took off. I feel like these things or this one was telepathic, like it could totally read my thoughts, my energy, before I didn't even have to say anything. I could relate what I needed to through, I don't know if it would be intuition or just feeling or just some kind of spontaneous connection, but this thing ran off as soon as I started trying to actually, get a little bit more of a clearer perspective of it, which made me think that, it knew what I was thinking. But at that moment, I realized that this was the creature. This was the creature that me and Ronnie had run into that was in the tree almost 20 years ago. And it wasn't like I saw it and I was like, oh, well, I guess that's it. No, it was a connection. As soon as I looked into its eyes, I knew that that was it. I knew there was no mistaking it. There was no misstepping or tiptoeing around that. He was the one. Now, I don't know. I've heard of a lot of stories about Dogman, and I've heard a lot of stories about even alpha Sasquatches, being really aggressive and displaying some really horrific behaviors and animalistic behaviors. But this thing seemed more civilized than I was at the time. I'd lost my mom, and I was almost in like a kamikaze mode, like, kill or be killed. I don't care, I miss my mother, and hell, honestly, I don't even want to be in this damn messed up world anymore, so, and then, hell, here's an 8-foot tall werewolf, hell, do me a favor. And you know what? He schooled me. It's like the werewolf schooled me on how to be civil.
That is the one thing that when I read your encounter, and I was like, I have to share this story. I'm like, because there was just the way you described the enlightenment and how it was groomed. It
yes,
definitely just like you said, there was, it was either another one grooming it or it was grooming itself. And instantly in the comment section, I noticed like people were talking, this was definitely, it had to be a werewolf to be so intelligent. And another interesting point that you pointed out is you felt a connection, and you felt like it was connected to the mounds not far from where you...
Yes, the Indian mounds, and it felt like that, not that this werewolf was like 1,000 years old, from the time that these Indians, but like that knowledge from these natives in this area, that had been passed down to somehow this creature. It's just the feeling that I got with it. I mean, this area that I'm in is just rich with history of Native American and especially like ceremony and ritual, and they have like an Archeo Fest here to kind of commemorate the old tradition. When the Indians used to migrate to this area. and they will commemorate that old tradition. But this thing, it seemed like that it would have been connected to those individuals.
Yeah, it's crazy. And there's another whole aspect of this story is that I we've talked for a while, and we were talking about how it schooled you. It kind of it knew that you were in pain. It knew that
Yes.
you were feeling like you said, on kamikaze mode. You just
Kamikaze,
lost
yes,
your
that
mom,
attitude, yes.
yeah, and it was almost like it had been watching you, and it was the right time for it to come out and say, "Hey, man, stop feeling down on yourself." And
that is so great that you said that. I have not even, as you were just talking, I just put together 3 days after her passing, but you're right. It's like it was the time to reveal itself.
Yeah.
It's like it knew the perfect time to reveal itself, where it would shift my mentality, my attitude, my perspective as a whole. And it did. It did. I'm telling you, Jeff, like from that point, I mean, I looked at the world differently. I looked at my own existence differently. I looked at how I was I growing? Was I really learning and receiving the lessons the proper way that I was actually going through? Because I know a lot of people, lose close people all the time, but I feel like that God or Source or the infinite infinitude does not make mistakes.
Right.
So when someone dies, it is their time. And it is also a lesson for us who were left behind it is a lesson for us on how we take it, how we choose to take it. Because we can choose to, stand in our own way, to mourn and to grieve and then to be entitled to that grief, or we can grow and we can blossom. And the choice is ours. We're not condemned to suffer like that. I mean, we are intelligent creatures, and we have the ability to make those kind of decisions as long as we are mindful enough and conscious enough to do so.
Right. Now, another aspect of this whole thing is you felt 100% sure that this was the creature that was in the trees that day. There was a connection that you were not doubting. There's no doubt in your mind that was something different. And
yeah, absolutely.
Your friend Ronnie, who I was unaware of this. I when you sent me your email, I apologized to you. I was like, hey man, I tried to reach out to you and ask you if I could use this, but I'm shadow banned on Reddit. And you were like, well, my friend Ronnie, who was with me on my first encounter, he turned me onto your channel. It was a connection there.
Right.
And then now, hopefully tomorrow or Tuesday, I'm going to have Ronnie on, and he has an encounter as well as the one that they experienced together. So we get to feel his perspective of the first encounter, and then he's going to share his encounter with us too. Which is, it's amazing on itself. I mean, the connections together, boom, 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 it all fits. Like you had an encounter with your friend, then you got through a loss, then you see this werewolf again, your friend turns you onto my channel, I narrate your encounter, then I'm going to have your friend share his encounter with us and get a different perspective of what he saw the first time or felt the first time, and then share his. It's a weird
Is that not amazing?
Yeah,
is that not incredible?
It's definitely a strange web right there. And
I mean, man, dude, like, and then how well you and I connected, just on the conversation alone, even before, we got to start recording here, and like, it just shows me, like, man, this is real. This is the legit, those connections that everyone talks about, that they see in their own life, man. I mean, it's like, they used to say on Bill Enfield from the Blue Collar Comedy Tour, he would say, "Here's your sign," here's your sign. It's blatant,
Yep.
right in your face.
Yeah.
And that's literally how this feels.
Yeah, 100%. Now, there is something that you really did want to point out, is that just because your encounter was a positive.
Yes.
Yeah, can you share on that one with us in your words?
Yes. All right. So the main reason when I emailed you, now I feel like my encounter is rare. What I experienced was rare. My mentality was rare because I had just lost my mom. I was in a mode so I was meant to receive that in that way. My issue is that with the listeners that are listening to this episode right now, getting the wrong idea with this blue-eyed, nice werewolf with braids and turquoise that looked like it was more civilized than a human, your subscribers or people who are interested, going out there and putting themselves in a situation where they end up getting flanked by a Dogman, by a type 1, not a werewolf, by a type 1, because they thought that maybe they would be able to see something like I did. I do not want anyone or any of your subscribers or anyone that might even come by this episode to put themselves out in these specific locations or into a location that you might think one of these creatures would be, to try to experience what I experienced, because what I've experienced is very rare, and I think it was meant for me. I don't want anyone getting hurt, because I feel like that this was 1 in 100, maybe 1 in 1,000, I'm not sure. But from all the other experiences that I've heard with the type 1s and these dogmen, you do not need to be going out trying to connect with these creatures, and I do not care if it has a turquoise braid. I don't care if it has blue eyes. I don't care if it has a box of donuts. Don't do that shit. We aren't sure what the full agenda of any of these creatures are, and I don't care, what they're telling you or what they're showing you. You just have to be careful, and I just didn't want your subscribers to hear this story and just be blown away and just in shock, and this be so different from all the other vicious and nasty and negative encounters that everyone else has had with these creatures, and then be inspired to try to go out and mimic or replicate that same situation and get hurt by actually coming into contact with a type 1.
Right.
And that was the main reason why I wanted to come on here, share my story, but then also, leave a period, a very strong period at the end of the story, being as that please do not go put yourself in a situation that you might not come back from.
Right.
Trying to, fulfill some kind of weird fantasy that you might have with these creatures.
Yeah.
Whatever the hell that may be.
Yeah, because, just like your friend Ronnie, you guys had that, and he actually had a completely 100% different encounter at the end of his,
yes.
So, which we will definitely hear in the future. But, it's, I can only say that I've only heard since I've been doing this, yours and another person named Zach, who had made a connection.
You talking about Zach from Alabama?
Yeah. Who
yeah,
made a
I heard
connection
that
with the
one.
werewolf.
Yes.
And then made a connection with a Native American. And it kind of, these two are very rare encounters, you know, and
Absolutely.
you know, like you just said, there was a comment actually last night in the comment section that said, they draw us in sometimes with uh, a show of kindness or a show of whatever, and then boom, we're gone, you know. But
Oh
this
yes,
was completely different, you know.
I could see how a smart a dogman of a higher level intelligence, might try to use a human's empathy against them to pull them in to flank them.
Yeah.
You know, it would just be. It's just like, you know, if some robber went up to some old woman and helped her across the street and did that nice deed, but then yanked her purse at the end of it and ran off.
Right.
You know, it's the camouflage technique to lure you in to get you close to snatch you up.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
And I just that was the main thing. Because I saw people, and I read the comments in the video when I heard that, you know, my encounter on your video, and you know, I saw how interested people were, and instantly, I'll be honest with you, I was just a little afraid, because that's immediately what I thought of, is that these people are going to go put themselves in a line of fire to try to see what I've been talking, what this thing that I've experienced, and that they're going to experience something else. And I mean, who's to blame other than I mean, I'm the one that, if I tell you my encounter, and you get the motivation to go out there because of that, I'm going to feel guilty as hell.
Karma.
Yeah. But, you know, I mean, it is what it is. But I mean, really, that's a big one. I just want people to be safe, man.
I agree 100%. I agree. Well, it was awesome having you on the show tonight. GW also has a YouTube channel. I'm going to include that link in the description below. It's not a Dogman related channel, but give us a brief description of your channel really quick before we end the upload.
So my channel is just I only have like 522 subscribers, but it's a channel of reflection and spiritual reflection. You know, asking yourself if you know who you really are. Who is the one that you think you are? Who is the one? Do you know the one that you think you are? And some of these videos will even show you that sometimes even what we think we know is not all that it's cut out and made to be. And sometimes, for many, many years, we carry the wrong idea of ourselves. And we need to make sure, you know, that are we wearing a mask, you know, throughout our life, or are we being our most authentic self? And really, these videos are just videos to try to help acknowledge, enlighten, and make sure that you are being your true, authentic self.
Right. Now, what's the title of your channel?
Well, it's Shri, S-R-I, Shri Bodhi G Samadhi.
Okay. And I'll have the link and title in the description below. Yeah. So everybody, if you guys are interested, go over and check it out and, you know, support GW's channel. All right, guys? GW.
Now, I want to,
if
you don't mind, Jeff, I just want to say one thing to all you guys out there in the Dogman community. Just want to tell you guys that, like I'm really proud of you guys, the way that you handle yourself in the comment section, the way that you support one another, the way that the kindness keeps generating and flowing. This is the type of community that people want to be a part of, and I just want to tell you guys that I'm so proud of you, and I want you to please continue just being your genuine, authentic selves.
Yeah, awesome. I agree 100%. I'm happy with how the community is because we're very supportive, you know, and the support in the comment section. It's very rare
to find on the internet these days, man.
Yeah, there's tons of keyboard warriors out there. And
absolutely.
The support in the comment section has actually brought out a few people to share their encounter. Like a inquisitive Southern woman, she held her encounter in for so long, and through the comment section and talking with people, she was actually comfortable with sharing her encounter and had a great great response. There was a great response, and she was able to share her encounter and get whatever she had on her chest lifted. And it's what the channel is based on and based for. So
just to let people blossom.
Yeah.
Let them blossom.
Absolutely. Well, brother, it was great having you on. I want to thank you.
Thank you so much.
And I'm looking forward to talking to Ronnie. I know that you're going to get in touch with him, and I am too as well. So thanks again, man.
Sir. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it. And thank you guys. You guys have a great night.
All right. Bye-bye.
What an absolutely mind-blowing upload. GW's super nice guy. I had a great time talking with him before and after and during the interview. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I did. And with that, may the Great Spirit watch over us all, and may He guide us down that path that we call life.